Hi everyone, welcome back to my Know by Year. My name is Alexa, and in this video I'm going to be doing a kind of reaction to my week of style videos. So last week I did a full week of videos on style in the era of influence, and I shared a bunch of outfits that went in kind of chronological order of my own periods of style and the various things that influenced me to buy and the things that influenced kind of my style tendencies during those periods. And to be completely open and honest, that week represented the most interaction that I've had with my clothes for the entire period from about May until September. So was that 4 solid months of summertime where I haven't really been utilizing my wardrobe to its full potential. I haven't really been putting together fun outfits. I haven't really been going out that much, to be totally frank. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I will share that in the past 4 months, I have generally dressed like trash. And let me show you what I generally wear on an everyday basis over the summer so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. And there are many practical reasons for me dressing like this. So you'll notice that my outfits consist of sweats, basically, a sweatshirt, sweatpants in some form. And there's a lot of gray in there, there's a lot of purple / light blue. It's kind of a riff on the same uniform, right? A pair of sweatpants and either a purple or light blue top, sometimes a gray top. So I've been kind of rotating through these 3 or 4 outfits pretty much the whole summer in some way, shape, or form. And yes, there might be an undershirt under the sweatshirt, but that's not really a stylish point of the outfit. In fact, I would argue that these outfits don't really signify style at all. It's purely practical. So the first practical need being that I don't want to stain any of my good clothes. I don't want to have to wash repeatedly any of my good clothes and, weaken the fibers through going through the washer and possibly the dryer in some cases, because I have small children. And in my personal experience, my clothes do get stained. Having small children who are still kind of learning how to eat independently or not eating independently, as the case may be, and inevitably they'll get dirty hands and then reach out for your sleeve or your pants or your shirt, and there you go, you've got a handprint that sometimes involves staining agents like tomatoes and jams and curry sauces and soy sauces and whatever sauces, all the sauces, even fruit residue, vegetable residue. These things are just colorful stainage that I don't like to invite onto my nicer clothes. And I'm not some kind of laundry wizard either, so maybe it's a me problem, and if I really cared about it, I could find ways around this. But I guess that's the thing, I don't care about it enough to find these ways around it. I would rather just have some sacrificial sweats that I don't mind if they get stained and beat up and worn out to serve this purpose. The second practical matter is over the summer, I live with a family of Texas natives who prefer a relatively air-conditioned environment. And for me, it's a little bit chilly. So you might have initially been thinking, why is she wearing a sweatshirt in summer? How could she do that? Well, that's how. Because of the overly air-conditioned environment that the majority of my household prefers. And for those of you who don't know, I also live with my in-laws. So it's not just my husband and I, the adults here. There are other adults who have preferences as well. That is why I wear sweatpants and sweatshirts all summer long. And I don't necessarily feel that I need to change this right now. However, I will make some observations that it has resulted in not using the majority of my wardrobe. And the contrast when I did the style week of videos and did use a lot of my wardrobe in planning the outfits for those videos, wearing some of the outfits in the demonstration videos, and then also sometimes for the day that followed, right? I would finish filming and then keep the outfit on, incidentally, I did that with the all black outfit with the graphic tee and the black pants, and immediately got sweet potato spit up all over it. So kind of proves my point where it was even a black outfit, but you could still see the little bits of orange, and I tried to wash it off, and then it was, Anyway, the point is, I was using my clothes more than I have for the past 4 months. And I am very curious. I don't have an answer for this yet, but I'm very curious to see whether when I go back to work and use my clothes more on an everyday basis and present to the public, present myself and my style to the public, whether I will want more, whether I will be more influenceable to want to participate in the trends, want to add new things to my outfits, to my wardrobe, want to try to accessorize more, want to experiment and have fun through acquiring things in a way that I've kind of been out of for the past 4 months. It could go the other way, right? Where I would say for the past 4 months, I haven't really wanted anything in the clothing category, anything in the wardrobe category. And other than, for practical reasons, but I, for the most part, have been relatively free of desire. The no-buy has been getting easier. And time will tell whether not using that area of my stuff is actually part of the reason why I don't want to buy things in that area. Or whether it could possibly be the other way around, where I can find a way to engage with my wardrobe and my clothes in a way that kind of inoculates me against desiring to add things. And I know this is where some people do their wardrobe experiments and capsule challenges and wardrobe tracking to give them a focus that's not looking for new things, participating in new trends, and keeping the focus within the realms of what we already have. Even my wardrobe declutter and reorganization earlier in the year was still during that period where I was engaging with my wardrobe, wearing my clothes, going out in public. And that was kind of a method of discouraging myself from wanting to buy new things, wanting to look for new things, by just interacting with everything that I owned, having to film everything that I have in my wardrobe and go through it, take it out and put it back. I guess on that point, I will be attempting to do the hanger trick this fall. One of my comments was suggesting that, and despite having seen this advice many times, I have never actually done it. And I guess now's the time. And maybe I'll share with you after the end of the fall season, or at the end of the year, whenever it works out, which pieces of my wardrobe that I ended up never wearing, if there are any. And that might give me some valuable insights as well. And going into the fall season, I do want to have fun with my stuff. I do want to enjoy my wardrobe. I do want to appreciate what I have, express my style in public, dress better in general. I'm not sure that I've addressed it yet, but you'll notice that the purses are back, and I have resolved to enjoy them in my own space as I intended when I put up the shelves in the first place. So I apologize if the background of the non-purse focused stuff was more favorable to you. I tried to compromise a little bit, and we now have my pencil holder bust and my little bunny friend on here and a cardboard box. So sorry if you liked the absence of the cardboard boxes, but this is my happy compromise from trying not to be a purse store ad and also trying to enjoy my stuff in a way where I don't have to move things too often to have a place to store my purses. So anyway, I am trying to enjoy the things that I have, as well as being on this crusade to not buy anything new and to examine and mitigate the desires that I used to have in the excess for buying new things. And I realize that this kind of presents a level of hypocrisy and kind of a dichotomy between loving stuff and not loving stuff, right? So loving the things you have and also not obsessing over adding new things. And like I shared in my Style Week, I did obsess sometimes. I'm not using that as the influencers do, where they're obsessed with something that they've been sent with. I did sometimes obsess over adding a new thing to my wardrobe. So in trying to decrease that attachment and simultaneously, I don't want to say increase the attachment to the stuff I have, because it's not really about attachment to the things I have. It's about enjoying their existence or their function in my life. So you see what I'm saying though, where enjoying what we have doesn't have to correlate to being obsessed with it or attached to it or kind of giving it a value that we don't want to associate with material possessions. But inevitably, when you do that, it does present as a little hypocritical, because in the quest to detach from material possessions and valuing them too highly, to present yourself enjoying your things or showcasing your things or thinking about how to best show off your style even can seem like a little bit of a conflict of values, even if it's not really, even if it is, and we're just living with it as humans. Anyway, so I guess I leave this little discussion video with questions rather than answers, or wonderings rather than revelations. And the questions are, is using my stuff more and having other people see my stuff more in public going to lead to increased desire for things? Is it going to impact my attachment to stuff in what I would consider a negative way, or going back from some of the reflections I had over the summer? Or is there a way to enjoy both of these things? What is the way to enjoy both of these things? What does it feel like? Because I would say that when my job stopped over the summer, I was still kind of in that space where I was making these little missteps in my no-buy. I still added those clothing pieces in April, and then after May is when my job went on pause. So it was kind of fresh out of that grappling with buying clothes and things for my wardrobe. The other variable, I guess, is that I did have a baby at the end of January, and so my body was still in the throes of recent changes in the April period, and maybe that kind of drove some of the desire to add something new. Whereas I'm further removed from that now, so perhaps that will be a deciding variable as well. The other question I have is related to a comment that I had recently about, or somewhat recently, about whether the change in my shopping habits was a result of a change in mindset or a result of time. And this comment could be interpreted in several ways, like, whether you have the time or whether it's the time that passed since starting this challenge. My initial answer was that it was more about the mindset than the time, the mindset shifts. However, I have another question of curiosity to perhaps report back on after my job resumes in earnest as well, related to the question of whether it's a matter of time. In this sense, I mean it in a practical way, where when I'm at work and having to go to work, more of my time will be spoken for. More of my time will be occupied with somewhat stressful activities. And so will the increased stress on my time and increased general stress in my emotional life lead to an increased desire to shop or to cope with looking for things to want? Will it result in internal conflict? Will it result in a more difficult no-buy? Will my self-control be more tested? And not even just my job restarting again. I guess I've got a few auditions coming up as well that will add stress and the roller coaster of failure that I used to kind of treat with shopping, instead of hard reflections on how I responded to that and how I resolved to go forward and process those emotions, process the sense of value of myself. So anyway, this started as a pure reflection to myself and my wardrobe and style week, and kind of ended in a little bit of a more complex place. To bring it back to style though, I am committed to not adding new things for perhaps even a longer period than to the end of December. And not to say that I'll not add anything new once the next year rolls over. And in fact, I have done some shopping for my Halloween costume, which I'll be sharing perhaps next week or the week after. And it does involve clothing, as Halloween costumes do. It was on my list of no-buy exceptions, so don't get at me for that. But perhaps you can get at me for that when I share the details in that video. But anyway, I am committed to not adding an excessive new clothing to my wardrobe in order to try to refine and define my personal style and develop this free from influence, which is kind of where I ended up at the end of Style Week, hopefully, I think. With that, I'll wrap up today's reflection. As always, I would love to read your thoughts. If you have any hypotheses on your own life experience or even on mine, whether you think it's harder to stick to a challenge like a no-buy when you're busy and stressed versus when you're not. I mean, I think it probably is, but then again, some people might respond to the boredom of not having busyness and stress with shopping. So I guess it could go either way, or it could go both ways even. And I think in my previous years, it did go both ways. I would shop for boredom, I would shop for stress. So there we go. Maybe I've answered my own question, but I would still love to read your thoughts, and I'll wrap it up here. Bye for now, and I'll see you in the next one.
What do you do?